Welcome everyone. Today I'm a bit sick, but I decided to record this video for one important question that a lot of clinicians and medical doctors are asking to me every day. Mainly the question is, okay, very interesting all the science about the microbiome, but where is the clinical implication of those theories about the importance of the microbiome into the clinical practice? So luckily, thanks to this review that you are seeing here, we can simply follow the review and answer to this question, because today I want to take you inside an interesting review published a few days ago in the field of clinical microbiome research. We are talking about a paper that came out very recently on March 17th in 2025 in Nature Medicine, titled Clinical Translation of Microbiome Research. So, and here you can see really on the title of the paper, and you can see from the author list that this isn't just a group of scientists. We have names like Jack Gilbert, Rob Knight, Aaron Elinov, and Tim Spector. So people who have helped shape the field from its origins. This review is a turning point. It doesn't just talk about hypotheses or associations anymore. It brings hard data and clinical reality. The message is very clear. The microbiome is no longer a promise. It's already part of clinical practice. Let's break it down together. So the paper introduced a clear conceptual model. The 3 M's of translation are the mechanisms, metrics, and modifiers. So in this box 1 of the paper, you will see everything in details, but mainly mechanisms refer to how microbes interact with the host, triggering inflammation, modulating the immune system, producing metabolites. Metrics are biomarkers, so measurable signals we can use for diagnosis, prognosis, or treatment decisions. And modifiers are the interventions, so diet, prebiotics, probiotics, and microbiome-based drug. Everything in this review is organized around this model, and that's what makes it so usable. Let's start with something very concrete: drugs. There are now 2 microbiome-based therapies approved by the FDA, and here I underlined the 2 microbiome therapies. The first is Rebiota, a rectally administered preparation of stabilized human fecal microbiota, approved for recurrent Clostridioides difficile infections. The second is WFST, a major milestone because it's the first ever oral microbiome drug approved by the FDA. It contains purified bacterial spores and reduces the risk of recurrence in Clostridioides difficile patients. And this isn't something that happened overnight. As you can see in this timeline, the development of WFST spans over a decade, from early trials to market authorization. It's a regulated product, not a supplement. So this already dismantles the claim that the microbiome lacks clinical applications. So then let's look also at the biomarkers in action. So one of the strongest sections in the review is about clinical biomarkers, so microbial signature that can inform real medical decision. And this is very clear in the figure 1. So for instance, let's take the ulcerative colitis, for example. The bacterium Focoeolia vulgatus produces proteases that disrupt the intestinal barrier and fuel inflammation. Measuring these proteases in stool can predict disease severity. Another important example is, for instance, the Prevotella copri, often associated with inflammation and progression of IBD, so intestinal bowel disease. And then we have blastocystis, which I want to pause on for a second, because now blastocystis isn't a bacterium, it's a unicellular eukaryote, a parasite found in the gut of millions of people. So for years, it's been treated as a potential pathogen, something to eliminate. But the review highlights that it may actually be beneficial because it is associated with lower BMI, higher plant fiber intake, and lower systemic inflammation. In other words, its presence might be a marker of gut health, not disease. This shift in interpretation shows how far the field has come from fear of microbes to precision profiling of microbial function. Then let's move also further. So the application to body systems, and there are a lot of clinical examples, system by system, where the microbiome is already being used to improve patients' outcome. For instance, in the neurology and autism, several trials are exploring microbiota-targeted therapies for autism spectrum disorder. So one compound, AB2004, is designed to reduce microbially derived toxins that affect the nervous system. It's already in phase 2. Then in oncology, for instance, the microbiome and cancer, this is one of the most fascinating areas, and some gut microbes enhance or block response to immunotherapy, especially anti-PD-1 drugs used in melanoma. Even more interesting is the case of Fusiobacterium nucleatum. This species, normally found in the mouth, has been shown to selectively colonize colorectal tumors. So it binds cancer cells through a protein called FAP2 that activates inflammatory signals through TLR4 and may promote tumor growth. This isn't just a correlation, it is a mechanism, and it opens the door to precision antimicrobial therapy in oncology. Vaginal microbiome also has been explored in chronic treatment, resistant bacteria, vaginosis. Vaginal microbiome transplants have achieved long-term remission. One of the key protective players is Lactobacillus crispatus, which produce beta-carboline, alkaloids, natural anti-inflammatory compounds that modulate the immune system locally. This is a completely new paradigm in gynecology, and it's been tested clinically, not just in labs. So conditions like atopic dermatitis have been successfully treated with live topical bacteria, including Staphylococcus hominis and Roseomonas mucosa, and in our cases even Lactobacillus plantarum. Those beneficial microbes reduce colonization by Staph aureus and improve barrier function. It's a form of live bacterial therapy applied directly to the skin, and it works. Then there are a lot of trials in progress that I want to show you in this long table. This is a very long table in the review. If you see, there are a lot of trials that you can have a look at, but if you are wondering, okay, but how widespread is this? The answer is really in this table of the paper, because as you can see, table 1 lists dozens of ongoing interventional trials, mostly in phase 2 and 3. We are talking about, for instance, SER 155 tested in transplant patients to reduce infections, MAAT 013 used for graft versus host disease, AB 2004 for children with autism, as we mentioned before. Those aren't theoretical proposals. They are being tested in real patients with validated clinical endpoints. So the final sentence of the reviews says it best. I underlined here. So clinical microbiome research has made substantial strides, culminating in the first set of FDA-approved therapies. And it's true, we've moved from speculation to regulation, from case reports to randomized controlled trials, from gut feeling to biomarkers, mechanisms and modifiers. So the microbiome is not a side note anymore, it's becoming a pillar of personalized medicine. And it's time the clinical world and the public treat it as such. Thank you for all the attention of today. Hope to see you very, very soon.